All right, so I got my boy Shaq Miller on the phone, the pride of DFW Lewisville High School. So Shaq, basically, I just want to say, first of all, I want to say thank you for doing this with me. I know like quarantine is kind of a crazy time for everybody and things like that. So I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me. So first, I just kind of want to hit on what high school was like for you. So going to Lewisville High School. In like that very recruit rich, athlete rich DFW area, as kind of like an undersized guy at the position at defensive back. What was high school like for you? You didn't get much varsity experience, varsity playing time until your senior year. Tell me about your mindset, like basically staying persistent through it and kind of biding your time for your senior year.
Sure. So just growing up, man, I'll be realistic. Just growing up, I've always had like that persistent work ethic. So like when I commit to something, I'm gonna keep going at it until like I successfully achieve the goal that I want. So just coming into football, I've been playing football my whole life. And my freshman year, I get to high school, and I actually had just moved from Louisiana. So I had came into school like it was a week before actually the first game. So they were actually not even going to allow me to play football. But luckily, I had a lineage of family that was successful athletes. So they ended up just letting me play on the team. However, it did come with a price. They started me on the B team, right, as an actual backup. So my freshman year, I was a B team backup. And, I went from being like just like the star athlete to being a B team backup, and it was hard at first. It was hard to accept, but I was just like, you know what, it's okay. It's in God's plan. I'm gonna keep going. Then here comes my sophomore year, man, and I'm on JB2, and then I'm like, man, okay, it's okay, Shaq, just keep going. Then here comes junior year. Now junior year comes around, and this the year we're on 7-on-7, and I'm on varsity, and I'm doing amazing on varsity on there. And I had started training so I had just started taking football more serious, and I'm starting to lift and everything. And I'm like, okay, yeah, now it's really my year now. And junior year, man, it comes around, I'm balling out, man. They still put me on junior varsity again. And I know partial of the reason, like you said, I was undersized. I was at like 5'6" my junior year. I ended up hitting a growth spurt later on that year. But, man, they had me on JV, and I did dominate JV that year. That's why I was very disappointed. And it even came a time to point when I got moved up mid-season, and then the week I got moved up, I actually, I had rolled my ankle because I had came down with a pick in practice, and I landed on somebody's foot. So then that ended the rest of my season. And then senior year finally came around, and, man, my senior year was like the year that I just decided, enough was enough. I'm going to put in as much work as possible. And then when I got to that point, too, I did feel like I was the big dog on campus. And, I was the person that was in control at all times on the field. So senior year came around, man, and I had a phenomenal season. Before the season, I won MVP at 2 camps. I had won MVP for cornerback, though, right? And then here comes my senior year. And like I said, I had one MVP for corner. I had been playing corner. I had even been training with one of the GOATs at defensive back training, right, Coach Clay Mack. And he even said, that was going to be my breakout year. Then my coach tells me, hey, Shaq, you're one of the best tacklers on the team. Right, I'm going to actually move you to outside linebacker. Now, I'm already an undersized DB, right? I'm about 5'9.5". In my senior year of high school, I was about 150 pounds. And he comes up to me and tells me he's going to move me to outside linebacker. Just because it fit his system, right? He always put his best tackler at outside linebacker. So I'm talking to him, man. I'll be real with you. He's telling me this. He's like, yeah, you're going to play outside linebacker. I'm going to be real. I just started crying. I'm like, bro, you're literally going to ruin my recruiting. I just won MVP at corner at 2 camps. No, bro, I can't do that. I'm going to lose all my offers. And sure enough, I played outside linebacker, and I did lose all of my offers. I lost every single last Division I look that was talking to me. And, I did have a great season. And the crazy thing was, even though I did play outside linebacker that year, I was still the best linebacker in the conference. And we were in the conference with like Allen, Hebron, Marcus, all these notable football programs. And I was the person. I think I had the third most tackles that year. I was the only outside linebacker that could cover as well. So I was still covering as well. I was still sticking slots.
Right.
It just was I didn't have as much coverage film. So then, bro, after my senior year, it was crazy. Like I said, I knew for sure I was the best outside linebacker. Everybody in the conference knew that, and I actually didn't get any. I didn't get any honors. I didn't get any honors, which was just wild to me. And that was the first time that I really felt bamboozled when it came to football, and I really saw how strong politics were. Because my school, we didn't go to the playoffs, which is very unfortunate because we did start the season off phenomenal, and we ended up losing our last 3 games when we only need to win 1 to go to playoffs. But yeah, that's the first time I just dealt with politics, and I literally saw them, bro. No offense to whoever it was, I saw them put this outside linebacker from Hebron who was absolutely horrific, and he made first team somehow. And I'm like, bro, how did he do this? Hebron did go to playoffs. They did have a successful season that year. But yeah, he was nowhere near as good as me, well coached as me, anything like that. And that's not me bashing him or anything, because he was a good person, good athlete. That's just me being a realist.
So real quick, Shaq, I want to go back to when you were playing football in middle school in Louisiana. So when you were playing football there, were you like one of the better athletes, like one of the better football players there? And then if so, what do you think it was that changed to like people to have so much doubt on you when you moved to Texas and got to high school?
Okay, so yeah, I was one of the better athletes. I was never the best athlete. That was the thing that separated like me and the rest of my family. Like my brother, he was always the best athlete on the field. My uncles, they were always the best athletes on the field, but I wasn't the best athlete. However, I was extremely intelligent when it came to football. So I was always in the right spot at the right time, right? And yeah, I was the person that was the heart and soul of the defense. Now, after my 8th grade year, my 8th grade year, so 8th grade came, bro, I'm probably like 4'11", and then going into high school, I was probably about 5'3", and the coach literally, bro, had to sit down and talk to me. He had a real talk with me, and it wasn't him, bashing me or anything like that. He was just like, son, your height is a liability.
To be realistic.
Yeah, he's just being real with me. It did hurt me, but it was the truth. And at the time in middle school, I was actually playing linebacker, but I was a middle linebacker. I've always been like the hardest hitter on the field. But then, obviously I couldn't play middle linebacker at 5'3", and going into high school. They tried to show me this dude who was a short middle linebacker at our high school. He ended up going to like North Texas or something, and he was like 5'11". But I knew that wasn't going to be the same plan for me because he had weight on him too. And I was going into high school 5'3", 135. So I knew how to make position change, bro. So then that's just when they switched me to corner. So, I mean, the doubt could have been that I went from linebacker to corner. It could have been that I was also short. I would just say those 2 things.
And I think that's something good to like remember as we do this interview is just kind of you having a lot of people that doubted you for being new to the area, for being new to the position, being your frame, and then kind of overcoming those things and proving people wrong, and ultimately getting to the place where in high school you set out wanting to be, and that's being a scholarship athlete playing football at Division I university. So before we get into the recruiting process, something I did in the last interview. So if you were a recruiter in the stands watching Shaq play outside linebacker for Lewisville, knowing you're probably getting you went to camps and got recruited as a defensive back. That's correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So if you were a recruiter in the stands watching you, recruiting you, playing outside linebacker, but recruiting you as a defensive back, what would kind of be your scouting report on you? And be honest, like the negatives as well.
Okay. So just to start off with the negatives, right? Because I always like to start off with the negatives before I go positive. Just to be real, I would have said that I was slow. You know, I wasn't the fastest. Now, however, I did never get beat deep, and I actually didn't get scored on at all my senior year. But I wasn't fast. Now, what made up for my speed was my intelligence and my quickness. Like I said, I have been trained by the GOAT, Coach Clay Mack, and I was the quickest on the field at all times. It's not me trying to brag. I did have the best hits on the field at all times. So my quickness did make up for my lack of speed, right? And then I was a natural football player. You know, I studied the great. I duplicated the great, and I was a person, bro. I was the hardest hitter. You know, I was little, but bro, nobody can tell me that. I'm dumping the number one tight end in the country. I'm dumping UConn's running back on his neck. I'm dumping all these 200-pound running backs, bro. Yeah, I was about 150, 155 my senior year, but I was very aggressive. You know, I was very aggressive, and I was a person that I feel like was at all times the best defensive player on the field, no matter who it was I was playing. So just being with a scouting report, bro, I would have been like, okay, he's slow, right? Quickness makes up for it. Has good feet. Does not have wasted movement. Very intellectual. You can tell he studies film. Always at the right place before. I can notice that he does make his own audibles on the field. And because one thing I did do my senior year was say my coach was about to send me on a blitz, and I knew that my blitz wasn't going to do anything to affect the play. I would switch the blitz to the opposite side. I would audible, and then boom, it always worked out in our favor. I know one game I audibled like 3 times, and the opposite outside linebacker, he got like 3 sacks that game, and we ended up winning the game. So I would say that okay, he's a coach on the field as well. That would have been my scouting report.
And then so I know you accredit a lot to Coach Clay, and I want to speak on him. So do you think it was something that you kind of realized, like, I'm not the fastest person. A lot of people are playing my position and that are at the places that I want to be are bigger than me, faster than me. I know that I have a desire to play the game, so let me get better technically. Is that something that you kind of like a mindset that you kind of came to in order to really push you to start training with Coach Clay?
Yeah, that's exactly what I came to. So how I actually came across Coach Clay was crazy. One of my old friends, he just brought me to him, and he introduced us. And then ever since then, you know, me and Coach Clay's relationship has been better than ever. When I first started training, man, it was crazy because Coach Clay, he is a realist, and he's going to keep it 100% real with you. I wasn't the best athlete. I was actually very uncoordinated. Coach Clay literally molded me onto this uncoordinated B-team athlete to a Division I football player. And, you know, he'll forever have my respect for that because he stayed with me through the process, and I know there were times that he wanted to give up on me. But Coach Clay, man, when I started training with him, so you got to know this, right? I train with the best of the best. You know,
Right, so tell us a little bit about Coach Clay and kind of like who he is and who his clientele is first.
Okay, you said tell you about Coach Clay and who he is?
Yeah, and a little bit about his clientele as well.
Okay, for sure. So Coach Clay, right? He's a individual. He's the most technical individual, right? He's the best defensive back trainer when it comes to technique, right? He's somebody that he's going to train natural movements. That's the difference between him and everybody else. Everybody else constantly tries to force things, right? With movements in football. Coach Clay, he recognizes natural movements. He studied the body and he applied what he learned about the body to the movements at the defensive back, right? He's a person, he went to UNLV out of college. His freshman year, he actually was an All-American, right? He wasn't a freshman All-American. He was an All-American as a freshman at UNLV. After his freshman year, he transferred to Mississippi State. He had to sit out his freshman year. You know, tells us a lot of crazy stories about his first year at Mississippi State, how that went. And then after that, his last 3 years of college, he was the first team AP All-American his last 3 years, right? Was actually supposed to go to the league and be a number one draft pick. Not number one draft pick, first round draft pick, but he did get hurt, right? And if anybody knows him, right, he could personally tell y'all that story if you ever reach out to him. But he did end up getting hurt. But, you know, everything happens for a reason. He wasn't meant to go to the league because he was meant to teach thousands of other athletes to go to the league, and that's what he's doing now. So now Coach Clay, he actually trains the best of the best, right? He trains the number one safety in the NFL, you know, that's opinionated Jamal Adams, right? He trains the first defensive back that was taken in the draft this year. He trains my guy Jeffrey Okuda, right? He trains also other top athletes, right? Like Tre'Davious White, that was a former LSU defensive back, now plays for the Buffalo Bills, right? First team AP All American in the NFL as well, like right alongside with Jamal Adams. He's trained Marshawn Lattimore. He trains the Cowboys cornerback now, Eagles cornerback Byron Jones, right? All these top athletes, right? I'm telling you, just really anybody that you've seen, most likely, right? Anybody that you've seen that went Division One or went to the NFL and they are from the Dallas area, they most likely train with Clay Mack. And if you are in the Dallas area, even if you're in a 10-hour radius, right, I would say go train with him because this man is a GOAT and he's serious. He's gonna make you your best you, and he's not just gonna make you your best you on the football field. He's gonna make you your best you as a man. So that's somebody that I would strongly recommend to anybody for training. Period. And it's not just for defensive backs; it's also for linebackers because he's trained the dude Anthony Hines. Right, Anthony Hines is the athlete who's had the most Division I offers out of high school football. He graduated in 2018, I believe, a year after me. Right, so he does, or 2017. Doesn't just train corners, right? Trains linebackers as well. Also train offensive linemen because offensive linemen is crazy. They're just defensive backs on the offensive side.
So let's talk about the recruiting process. So you mentioned that you lost a lot of your offers, and like you said, you do train with the best of the best. You're in the DFW area. The teams you're playing are just filled with guys that are going to play not only Division I football but FBS level football. So what is your mindset like when your friends, and I know some of even the guys that you played with at Lewisville, when your friends are getting these big time offers and committing to these big time schools, and then you on the other hand are losing your offers because of a position change? What's kind of your mindset at this time?
So during the time, I'll just be completely real, right? I'm not the person I am now. So during the time, there was a little bit of hatred going on. So I'm looking at some of the dudes, and I'm like, man, this dude, his film is nowhere near as nice as mine. You know, so at the time too. So even though I was training with the best of the best, bro, like I told you, I was training with people like Jeffrey Okuda, who was the number 3 draft pick this year. It's crazy, Coach Mack. I'm not choosing this, right? Coach Mack is choosing this. Coach Mack is putting me at the front of the drills to lead it, right? I'm training with a guy, Verone McKinley, Anthony Cook. Right? Anthony Cook was like the number 1 DB out of 2017. Verone was like one of the top 10 DBs out of 2018. And, you know, all these dudes, you know, I love them, man. You know, they're cocky, they're confident, not necessarily cocky. They want to lead the drills, and, you know, Coach Mackey's putting me in the front, you know, to lead the drills. So I'm just seeing all these dudes get these offers, man. I'm just like, man, I deserve that, I've been working for it, and, you know, it just sucks that I was in the position I was in, the school that I was at. You know, they told me that I should have transferred, so it wasn't like I was hating on them necessarily, but it's just like I did have some envy, I'm not going to lie, to where I'm looking at them get these offers, and I know that I can do the same thing. So that was how I felt, honestly.
And then so once the recruiting process really ramps up again for you after losing those offers, so you're trying to sell yourself as a defensive back to these universities. Tell me about that process your senior year and how you ultimately landed at UIW as a walk-on.
Okay, so my senior year, so first off, senior year, right, the first camp I went to was Arkansas State. It was at my high school, so that's why I went to the camp. I told myself, like, I'm never going to go to a camp. But I went to that one because it was at my high school. And at that camp, man, I performed well. It was amazing. I felt like it was the perfect fit for me. I was an aggressive corner, and their coach, their cornerback coach, Coach Johnson, he was an aggressive cornerback coach. So he taught the way that I actually love to play. And I went to the camp, and I started off humble. You know, I always start off humble. And he ended up moving me I started off at like second to last doing the drills. Then he moved me to the front, right? He started noticing what I was doing, and he started talking to me. He moved me to the front, and he started talking to me every drill. And he was going over the jump press technique. And I had, like I said, I trained with Jamal Adams. And Jamal Adams, I just remember at the time, it was like the Nike Combine camp. He had a video that went viral where he jump pressed the dude. And I just remember watching him. This is like his freshman year now at LSU. I was watching it, and I was like, man, I want to reenact that moment. I want to go viral for jump pressing. So then that was the technique that the Arkansas guy taught. So I was like happy because I had been working on that technique the past couple of weeks. So then the first rep of one-on-ones come, and I jump press the guy, and man, I just absolutely embarrassed him. Like, I absolutely embarrassed him. It was bad, and he wanted a rematch. And then I acted like I was going to jump press him again. I motor mirrored, and I locked him up. I ended up winning MVP at that camp. Coach talked to me, and at the camp they were like, "Okay, you're going to get offered right if you win MVP." I won MVP, but it was a discussion, or not even a discussion. I don't know what the word is I'm trying to use. But they altered things when they saw I won MVP, not because of my skill, but because we were going over my film, and my film was only JV film. So then they told me, okay, just get film, and then we'll offer you. Then same thing happened in Montana State, right? And then I went to Kansas, and at the Kansas camp, they were talking to me. I had locked up this dude Cameron Buckley. I went to like Texas A&M. I had covered this guy Josh Fink. I ended up playing him in Abilene Christian over the years. I had locked up both of them. Their coaches had talked to me, and both of them had tried running double moves on me. But I had covered those. And then the coach, he literally came up and talked to me. And at the time, I was at the camp with one of my guys that I trained with, Coach Mac, Caesar Williams. Just to let you know, everybody be on the lookout for him. He'll definitely be a first-round draft pick next year. Out of Wisconsin, number 21, the cornerback. But I was at the camp with my guy Caesar Williams, and the coach was talking to us, and he told me that he would have offered me if I was taller. And Caesar was like 6'2", 6'3", and he told me like I had the best hits and feet at the camp. But I didn't meet his standards, and I applaud him for keeping it real with me. And I didn't get that offer. So then senior year came around, man, and I'm dominating. I didn't get scored on at all. I covered the number one tight end in the nation, Caden Smith. He broke the world record he broke the world record against Odell Beckham had for the most one-hand catches in a minute on Bleacher Report. I went against guys like Kyler Murray, Soso Jamambo, right? I went against, I remember Plano East was loaded that year, McKinney Boyd as well. I think every game I was covering a Division I receiver, if I remember correctly. I was going against a Division I running back, right? But I dominated every game. Like, it was never one game that I got exposed because I prepared every week, like it was my last time playing football. I had record-breaking games in Lewisville. I had a 17 tackle game. I had a game where I would have a pick, a safety, a forced fumble, 10 tackles, and bro, I was actually having amazing games, and it was mind blowing to me that I wasn't winning awards like DFW Player of the Week, all these different things, and it had to do with my coaching support, and God bless Coach Miller, but it was mind blowing to me, man. That I just wasn't getting the recognition I deserved. I remember my spring ball came around. I had 2 picks in one day at a spring practice, and we had the University of Texas there. And the coach literally just came up and talked to me, and he was just telling me how good of a football player I am, and to keep working. And then that inspired me to keep going because that was the first time I got recognition. But then senior year, man, I didn't get the offers that I wanted. I actually ended up having to do my own recruiting process on my own. Because my coach, bro, he's just this country guy, God bless Coach Miller. He's just ignorant, I'm not going to hold it against him. But he told me, you're not going to go D1 because you're not over 6 foot. I was like, whoa, what? So he didn't even push me out to Division I coaches. Crazy thing was, he didn't even push me out to D2 coaches. I was like, I didn't know what was going on with his head. He pushed me out to NAIA. Very disrespectful. Nothing. No offense to anybody that is playing NAIA. I just recognize my worth. He pushed me out to them, bro, and I went on a visit to the first one, just out of respect for him. And I'm seeing the dudes that are there, they're nothing like me. Nothing against them again, nothing against any of y'all NAIA kids. Keep grinding. You can definitely make it out, and don't judge your current situation and think that's your final destination. But I knew that wasn't for me, man. And he wasn't pushing me out to D2. So then I researched all the Division 2s right, in the United States. And I literally just started, whoever's email I could find, I shot them my highlight tape, right? I made my own highlight tape. I shot it to all of them. Literally just sent it to people, bro. And I shot to JUCOs too. I shot to some Division Ones. I ended up getting like 11 offers, just off my own. Um, Ended up, I was gonna commit to Arizona University. Right, they were gonna give me. Literally, I was supposed to go on a visit, and when I was supposed to go on a visit, man, it was absolutely crazy. The coach just stopped responding of my official visit. So obviously, right, I never got that offer, and I didn't commit. And God bless her, I didn't, because I think the most games that they won over my span in college was like 3 years. So God bless her, I didn't, right. But then I ended up, bro. I'm like, man, you know what? I'm just not even gonna play football. You know, obviously, it's not for me. I didn't want to go JUCO. I know I reached out to all these Division twos. I didn't want to go Division two. You know,
so for you, it was like D1 or bust.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was, bro. It was. I knew what I wanted my whole life. I had an uncle that played at Louisiana State, an uncle that played at Louisiana Tech. I have an uncle that plays for the Patriots, and I have an uncle that played for the Chargers. So it was like, bro, I had big expectations I had to live up to. And I was just like, okay, so I got to go D1. So it's D1 or nothing. So I didn't get those offers, man. I was like, okay, I'm just not going to play. Then one day, man, I'm working out at 24-hour fitness, and I met my quarterback's dad there, who was in Lewisville for his church's meeting, right? And he just decided, well, since I'm in Lewisville, let me go ahead and work out at this 24-hour fitness here as well, even though he stayed in Dallas. And he sees us working out, and he just talks to us. And, you know, this is why I always tell people, man, shake a hand, make a band. Because you never know whose hand that you shake is going to bring value to your life. Like, it's literally going to change your life. And I shook his hand that day, and I talked to him. And literally, right then and there, he got me on the phone with UIW. That's the University of Incarnate Word. He got me on the phone with their DB coach. His name was Coach DeBose. And Coach DeBose and them, they didn't have any more offers. But he told me, man, just send me your film, and we'll see what we can do. Maybe we can get you an account. Sent him my film. I'm a person, I like to take action immediately. Send him my film. Talk to him. He calls me back. Like 2 days later, I'm at the skating ring, and he tells me, "Man, we got a spot for you in camp. You just gotta apply and see if you get accepted in the school." I knew I was gonna get accepted in the school. Luckily, I was a student in high school. I did have a 4.2 GPA. Right. Oh, and that brings me back. I was actually supposed to go to Princeton originally, but I had like a 1682 on my SAT, and they told me I needed 1800. And I was like, okay, yeah, there's no way I'm gonna do that. So I didn't end up going there. But yeah, he tells me to apply, man. I get a scholarship there for academics and for FAFSA as well. So I ended up walking on there, and I just had to pay like $12,000 out of pocket. Now, $12,000 is a lot of money to me because I wasn't a person that had it at all. You know, walking on was not a choice for me either. So I really had to take out loans, but I knew, man, this temporary sacrifice would be worth it because this temporary sacrifice will provide me with permanent pleasure in the end.
So you went through high school with these ups and downs of having these offers, of winning all these camps at defensive back, a position change, trying to basically doing recruiting for yourself to eventually land you at University of Incarnate Word just through connections you made just out in the real world. So once you get to Incarnate Word, like you said, you are a walk-on. You're not on scholarship, but you end up through just practice and being kind of known as the guy that knows the in and outs of the playbook, that's super smart, super technically sound, is going to lead all the workouts, the workouts that people do just on their own. It's always going to be you. Tell me about how you getting put on scholarship came about your sophomore year.
Okay. So just when I first went in, man, I went in and like I said, I was a walk on, and you know, of course, I had a lot of people down to me. Coaches down to me, but you know, they gave me a chance, which is all I needed. And I got the chance, bro. And like I said, I trained with Clay Mack. So a lot of people, that was the first thing that got me recognition, right, was my feet. So I get there, man, and like the coaches are wild, the players are wild. They're like, man, how do you do all this with your feet? Like, how are your feet so proficient? Right now they're asking me to help them with stuff. And now I went into college and I was still little, right? I went to college about 160 pounds, one of the smallest things there. I think only my friend Aaron Freeman, he was smaller than me. He's like 157. So I'm getting in, bro, and that was my first time. So I had actually watched them before I got there, and I was like, Nothing against the guys. You know, I had watched them. I was like, man, these guys are not it. You know, I'm for sure going to start my freshman year. Then I get there, and I'm seeing these guys are like huge in person, man. They're safeties, and they're 205 pounds. I'm 160. They're like 6'2", 205. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Right? This is absolutely mind blowing. Then I get there, man, and I didn't play at all my freshman year. I had made the travel squad my freshman year as a walk on, which was actually phenomenal in my eyes. And they actually told me I had to start playing, but then I found out I had a heart murmur, and they told me I couldn't play. My freshman year, I was dealing with that heart murmur, and then the spring ball comes around, and I gained 15 pounds. Right, I think I gained 20. Yeah, I went to 180 pounds. I put in a lot of work during Zach. I was working with you.
Yeah.
Remember, we were putting in a lot of work, bro, at nighttime every night, just getting bigger, bro, lifting. And during that
Lifting
time,
and eating,
I was
lifting
just
and eating.
taking advantage. Yeah, man, I was lifting and eating, bro. We were on that regimen, and yeah, I had gained 20 pounds. And then spring ball came around. The coaches took notice of the work I had put in. I got bigger, and I had got faster. And then after that sophomore year, they were liking me. They were messing with me. And then I came back in the summer, and I sacrificed that summer. I decided to sleep on one of my teammates' couches. No money, no food, no job. I was just like, man, I just wanted to be there with the team. Right. And they recognized that, man. They seen the hard work I was putting in. They seen the sacrifice I was putting in. And then when the season came around, they ended up awarding me with a scholarship. And it was crazy. I didn't want them to, make it a big deal or anything like that. It's literally that Coach Keenan, man, sweet old man. He just came up to me. He's like, hey, how would you like it if, we started paying for your school? And I was like, man, I love that. And then he's like, well, you're on scholarship. Have a good day. And he just left it at that. And then, yeah, I just ended up getting on the scholarship, man, after that. And, that was one of the happiest days of my life. I called my grandma excited because, they didn't have to worry about me anymore. Same thing with my dad. Same thing with my mom. Now, the crazy thing was I didn't get put on full scholarship yet, but I did get put on scholarship, and I think I was just paying like $4,000 the rest that I had to pay. But it was a blessing, just get that $8,000 cut off. And then junior year comes around, and our old coaches get fired. So now it's a new coaching staff. And my junior year, I was actually going to get put on full scholarship because I had earned it my sophomore year because I actually played this year. And again, I was a small dude on the field, but I was like I was bullying people. I wasn't starting on defense. I was on special teams, but on special teams, it was pretty embarrassing. It was like 6'3" linebackers who were 225 pounds going against this 160-pound dude, and they're getting pancaked. And my coaches were acknowledging that, and they told me after the season I was going to get put on full. Then junior year comes and they get fired, and now these new coaches, they're telling me, well, hey, you got to earn it, man. We don't know you, so you got to earn it. We just brought in new people. So I'm there, and I feel like I did earn it, and they actually did tell me I did earn it. But they said they didn't have the money, so like, you'll just get put on scholarship in December. That's what they did. But it did suck, and then that's how it came about going on scholarship.
So really, it kind of sounds like just through your whole story that once someone gives you the opportunity and basically tells you like to earn it, that you have no problem with that. That's almost like kind of the words that you look for, and I think that has a lot to do with your confidence. And I think even just listening through this interview, you speak very, very confidently of yourself. And how do you think that confidence really kind of paved the way for you to basically to achieve your goal and get a Division I scholarship? How do you think that confidence was able to kind of hold you through those times and that you were doubted so much?
Okay. So thing is about the mind, right? The mind is so powerful, and a lot of people don't realize that. And I didn't even realize it because I was being confidently blindly, but now I realize why a lot of stuff came into fruition and why a lot of things that I have in life were manifested, and it's because of my confidence, man. And it's because it all starts in the mind. Everything that you want in life starts in the mind. It all starts in your imagination, right? What you think, you now start. So first off, you think of something. Right after you think about it, right, you start to see it. Right after you see it, you start to feel it. once you feel it, man, that's when you know it's really about to happen, and that's when you really know you're about to get the success that you want, right? So all I ever needed was just the opportunity because I already knew what was going to happen once I got it because I had manifested so many times into reality. Like before my games, well, I used to imagine every play that was going to happen when I got on the field. I knew the games I was going to get a pick. I knew the games I wasn't. It was all about how I prepared. So my confidence, it did lead me to success, and it was crazy to see how it happened. Just like I knew, bro, I could know that somebody was a better athlete than me, but when I stood in front of them, I knew they weren't going to catch on me. And that's the big thing about defensive back. You have to be confident in defensive back. That's why you see people like Jalen Ramsey and Tyrann Mathieu. They have never had the best feet. You know, they were never they now are very technical, right? But when they were in college, their footwork was actually horrific. They were just they were raw talent, right? But their confidence was out of the world, and that's why they were two of the best defensive backs to play during this century, right? Because, bro, you being confident, it can cause you to have a lot of success that people who with your same skill level wouldn't have because of their mindset. So me being confident in myself, I knew there was a lot of things that I could accomplish. There were people, bro, who would line up. I remember my senior year, I went against Charleston Rambo, right? He's the guy who's about to be the star receiver this year in OU. And I got up in front of him, and, bro, like I said, I was very confident. And there were times where I had to, humble myself. But he got in front of me, and I knew for sure I was gonna lock him up. I jump pressed him. I embarrassed him. I turned and nothing against you, Rambo. If you are listening to this, man, this is just me being real. You know, I hope you remember the story. But he lined up in front of me, bro, and I turned the post into a 3-yard slant. And I remember the two guys at Texas. I can't remember their names. The two guys who were the recruiters for Texas, and now they do like 24/7 sports. They came up and talked to me, and they were actually about to put stars next to my name, but it was my senior year, so I didn't get those stars because it was already too late, right? But yeah, man, confidence it can help you a lot in life. Period. You know, confidence can make you do things that you normally wouldn't do. It can give you the confidence to do things that a lot of people wouldn't do. You know, a lot of people, they have success not because of their talents, but because of their confidence. There are people who are more talented, but who have less success because they don't believe in themselves.
And so keeping in mind that confidence thing, what would be some advice or some words that you would give to someone that is going through the recruiting process right now, kind of in the same position as you were, with no stars by their name, maybe a little undersized, maybe at a school where their coach isn't really fighting for them to get those offers, but deep down they know just like you did that you have D1 value. What would be your advice to a player like that?
Yeah, so just pray like it all. And I'm sorry to anybody who's not a Christian and they're listening to this, or they're not religious and they're listening to this, but just pray like it all depends on God, right? And work like it all depends on you. Right? I'll say that one more time. Pray like it all depends on God and work like it all depends on you. Right? You have to know that prayer is going to build your confidence, because when you're praying, right, you're building your faith. And when you're building your faith, you're confident in you because you have faith in yourself. Right? But then you also have to know that faith is built through work. Okay? Faith is mostly built through work. Because just think about it like this. You can know all day what you're supposed to do, right? Your coach can tell you all day what drills you're supposed to do, but if you never actually work on those, you'll never believe that you can do that, right? If your coach is telling you to work on your release off the line, right, and he shows you how to do it, but then you never go work on it, you're going to have in your head that you can do it, but you're never going to know that you can do it because you never worked on it, right? So you have to put in the work to believe in yourself. And for all my football players, you can attest to this, because you know that any time that you put in more work before a game, whether that's more film, that's more preparation in the training room, that's more drills, whatever it is, that's more serious time at practice, you feel 10 times more confident at your game because you put in the work to be successful. So anytime you put in the work, you're going to have that belief behind yourself that you know you're going to be successful. And that was the case for me, bro. I worked all off season. So I knew no matter who stepped in front of me, I was going to win because of what I did during the season. So it didn't matter how much talking that you did. It didn't matter how much you worked, because I knew that because of my work and that I maxed out everything that I can do that year, I knew there was nothing that was going to stop me and limit me, because I worked for it. So since I worked for it, I put that confidence inside of myself that I was going to go get it, regardless of who was in front of me or what my situation was.
Man, I just want to say first before I ask you the last couple of questions, like I just want to say how outstandingly proud I am to be of you and just to be your friend, man. Like looking back to your freshman year at UIW, my senior year, just like working out, doing footwork drills on like nighttime at the football field where you can't even see, being the last people in the gym at the wellness center, getting those last reps in, eating at the cafeteria for like the umpteenth time just because you knew you had to gain weight. Just like seeing that firsthand, and then staying in touch with you to now, and seeing you earn the scholarship, seeing you graduate UIW, seeing you play significant snaps in meaningful role for the team, seeing you win as many games as you did through the latter part of your career at Incarnate Word, and ultimately graduating with a 4.0, man. I just want you to know how proud I am of you. And looking back at your whole journey, ultimately leading you to your time at UIW, what are some of the moments at UIW that, I mean, looking back, you're only there because of the things that you went through. Looking back at your time at UIW, what were some of the moments that stick out as moments where you're like, I'm very thankful to be here and I'm thankful for the journey?
Sure. And Zach, I want to take the time, man, just to thank you, bro, because you don't know how much of a huge part that you played, you know, in my success, bro, and in my just life period, bro. You actually one of the positive role models that I had. You were one of the reasons, bro, that I even stayed sane in UIW my freshman year. I was actually going through a lot at that time, bro. And then every day, bro, for you to just come with your genuineness, your kind-heartedness, and for you to pour into me, bro, you don't know how much I needed that, because at the time, I didn't have anybody that was pouring into my cup besides you, bro. So I really thank you for that and everything that you did for me. But just, you know, being thankful for my time at UIW, bro, like I said, my freshman year, bro, I went through hell, you know, and that was the first time that I actually struggled with depression, bro, and thought about, you know, just suicide just because everything that was going on in my personal life. So being at UIW, bro, I thought that I wasn't meant to be there. I thought that, you know, I just ended up there on accident, and I hated it. And, you know, I ended up forever grateful for it because of things like the learning environment. I can say that for sure. The family, just the culture, man. It was amazing. And just to stay humble, bro, that's what I needed. Because at the time, I was going through a period, man, where I was getting very conceited. You know, I had glowed up my senior year, started getting girls, started getting the offers I wanted, started getting the recognition I wanted. So I started to get conceited, bro, and I needed to get humbled by going back to UIW to remember, man, that I hadn't made it yet. And I'm very thankful for that. But I was thankful for things like, you know, learning-wise, education-wise, being in a small classroom so I could actually learn from teachers who cared about me growing and, you know, pouring into me and actually help me learn life lessons that I needed. I was thankful for the family there. You know, of course there's going to be people who are, you know, who have intentions, you know, who are bad people. That's everywhere in life. But, man, I really felt like there were a lot of good people at UIW and a lot of people who taught me a lot of things. Even people that weren't good to me, you know, they showed me a lot of things, and I was very grateful for them. I was grateful just to go through the struggle because at UIW, bro, I actually ended up being a leader, and I always needed to know that I had the power to lead, bro. And even though I wasn't always I wasn't a highly scouted person in the position to lead, bro, I had the power to lead, and I was thankful for losing my offers and going to UIW because that made me, you know, keep that work ethic that I needed. And I noticed in high school, I noticed when I got to college that a lot of athletes, bro, they stop going hard because they think they're made it just because they got that scholarship. And for me to not have that scholarship, man, that instilled that work ethic in me and reminded me that, hey, man, you haven't made it, you know, so you got to keep working. And it helped me help my brothers at the school that they had the scholarship and they wanted to keep working. And I didn't want any of them to go down the wrong path. So I always tried to speak words of encouragement and wisdom towards them. But, yeah, I was thankful for those things, man. I was thankful for the culture, you know, just being in that brotherhood. We didn't have everything we wanted like a lot of schools. We didn't have single rooms like a lot of schools. So we had to build a strong brotherhood, and that brotherhood is what led us to actually winning conference because there's a lot of teams that are talented, and we had the same talent our freshman and sophomore year. But our junior year, we had that culture and we had the coaching. So because we finally got that coaching, because we already had the culture actually, but because we finally got that coaching, man, and that coaching, they instilled the culture to a whole nother level. That's what finally led us to win conference. So, the things that I really love were just the brotherhood, the culture, and then just the learning atmosphere there, man.
And I think the cool thing about UIW, I mean, you go through high school and you hope to get offers from these big established universities, these FBS schools, the Sam Houstons that you already know about, the SFAs. But I think the cool thing about UIW, and I think you can attest to this from your experience, and is you really got you got to UIW and they were kind of like a blank canvas. They didn't really have that culture. They didn't really have like a winning or at least a Division I kind of winning history or like something cool to like look to see and in terms of results from UIW. And you kind of got to be there and establish that. So I think that's kind of a cool thing about UIW, and a lot of people don't really think about in the recruiting process is maybe if you're not going to get to go to a place that's already established, like why don't you go establish somewhere yourself? And I think that's what you did, and really your whole class kind of did at UIW. But yeah, bro, I just want to say thanks for doing this. Thanks for taking the time. I know you're over there boozing up in Houston, so I appreciate you stepping out and doing this call. So I just want to ask anyone you want to shout out to while I have you on here.
Yeah. Definitely shout out to some people, man. Shout out to the guy, Coach Clay Mack. Already did that. One of the best trainers best trainer. Let's just put this out there. Best trainer in the world, period. I don't know who you train with. If you're a defensive back and you're not training with him, if you're a linebacker and you're not training with him, man, you are absolutely insane. Go get in the lab ASAP. You cannot buy those skills that he teaches you at Walmart. So go get in the lab ASAP. Shout out to my guy, Coach DeBose, the guy that believed in me, the guy that taught me, how to be a man, how to be humble, how to not let things get to me, and gave me the opportunity to play Division One. And then shout out to my guy, Coach Darren Garrigan at the University of Incarnate Word. I know a lot of people, they hate to hear what he has to say because he says a lot of real things, and a lot of people hate to hear the real. But if you want to maximize your potential, if you want to become the best defensive back that you can, right? If you want to go to the next level, if you really want to go to the league, understand that you don't have to go to those big schools. Right? There are a lot of kids who commit to these Big 12 schools and think they have to go to the league. But the crazy thing is, those schools aren't putting out people that are in the league, right? Research your coach before you commit to them. Research your coach before you commit to them, because Darren Garrigan, Coach DG, he has put 7 Division II athletes, right? This is before he even got the Incarnate Word, right? Before he even got the Incarnate Word to coach Division I, he put 7 Division II athletes in the NFL. He turned around one of our athletes who was not being looked at by any NFL coaches. He got them into count. Right, so if you want to be your best you, if you want to make it to the league, man, go get with the man himself. He's not going to tell you things that you want to hear. He's going to tell you what you need to hear, and he's going to get you to that next level, man. So yeah, shout out to all those people, bro, and then shout out to you, Zach, man. I'm proud of you, bro. I'm proud of you for chasing your dreams, bro. Keep going in this. You've always been a hard worker, man. Just make sure that you're putting your hard work into the right areas. Don't let anybody distract you. There's going to be a lot of distractions to try to come for you, especially during this point in 2020 when you're now separating your life and starting to live the lifestyle that you want to live, man. But I appreciate you for getting me on this call. I appreciate you for allowing me to get on here, man, and just tell my story and spit some knowledge. And then to all the young athletes that are up and coming, man, I want to let you know to just keep going. Don't give up. It's going to be a lot of times that you feel like quitting. It's going to be a lot of times that you don't feel like doing anything, right, where you don't feel like working. But keep going. And I want y'all all to remember this quote before y'all go to college, right? I really want y'all to sit down and reminisce on this every single day. Write it down on a whiteboard. Do whatever it is you have to do, right? But I want you to remember this, right? You can either work hard for 4 years, right? When you get to college, you can either work hard for 4 years and you can party the rest of your life, or you can party for 4 years and you can work hard the rest of your life, right? The choice is yours. Y'all decide what y'all want to do.
All right, bro. Well, we got the Cub Scout beat in the background. Thank you for doing this, man. We'll talk soon, bro. I appreciate it.
Alrighty, man. Have a blessing, Zach.